Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the physical version of the digital tiny room. I am your co-host for Michael and Benjamin's podcast, and I am the one of the two of those aforementioned people who is called Michael. And I am joined today by the man who has literally been called the Jar Jar Binks of Irish podcasting. It's Benjamin.
Mr. Here!
Oh, that's quite good, actually. Yeah. Terrifying, but good.
I'm really sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I'll switch it back to a nice, clear hello.
Ben, this week you actually were called the Jar Jar Binks of Irish podcasting.
I was, yeah.
How did you feel about that?
Well, that's what happens when you outsource your camera work to a tosser. You just pay for it in the long run in production quality and minor psychological trauma.
Good,
Michael.
Excellent.
But on a more serious note, thank you very much to Shane and Connor, who both gave us a hand last weekend at the Dublin Comic Con. We may not have mentioned that as much as we should have.
Ben, let's do the theme music.
Yep.
Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have any theme music, but I hope someone will mix them up for us. I don't wanna name any names. Rachel, I hope it's Rachel.
That's much funnier for us than it is for the listeners, because for the listeners they just hear the theme music, but we just have a little break and then we go back to it. Ben, come on, let's tell the people you were at the Comic Con there last week.
I was
for your first ever time at the Comic Con.
First ever time at any Comic Con.
Yeah, and what did you think of that, Ben?
It was a bloody good time had all round.
Yeah,
Michael. Bloody good time had all round.
Lots of people dressing up and whatnot.
Lots of people in costumes, Michael. Mm-hmm. Costumes. Festooned in costumes. Very good, Michael. Met some wonderful people who we've repeatedly shouted out to on social media lately.
They're probably annoyed at us.
No, I don't think so, but I met some really interesting people. It was nice to kind of get to grips with why people cosplay. As I've mentioned before on the podcast, I'm not always 100% sure what drives people like that. Don't really get it myself, Michael.
Fucking weirdos is the word you've used in the past.
That's not the word I've used in the past. Don't you fucking go tainting people's image. And I think those that were interviewed by me felt very comfortable, secure and non-judged.
Yes.
We do have a video, of course. We may as well do a little plug there, Michael. Take a look at the YouTube channel. All of the interviews that we had with some very interesting people.
Now, obviously, if the people are watching this on YouTube, Ben, they won't need to be told that because there'll be a link.
There'll be a link or a suggested.
For the SoundCloud or the iTunes or the Podbean listeners.
We've a number of options there for you down below. But it was a very interesting experience for me, Michael. Very interesting experience for me.
I met Nick Frost.
Of Slaughterhouse Rules?
Yes.
Just joking. He is, of course, more famous for his work in Shaun of the Dead.
But we have just talked about Slaughterhouse Rules, so that's a good relevance.
Hot fuzz.
I didn't ask him about Slaughterhouse Rules. I forgot.
Bad podcasting etiquette.
Shorter in real life than you might imagine.
I'm sure that made you very happy, Michael.
It did.
Michael loves Hollywood short.
I do. I love when people are shorter than me. It makes me feel very good.
Yeah, it's the main reason that I am the co-host of the podcast and not somebody else. His other friend Shane is slightly taller than him.
1 centimetre exactly.
1 centimetre exactly, but it may as well be 6 metres. Yeah. It's all the same to Michael. So if you see us at our next Comic Con, come up and measure yourself against Michael, and it'll either make his day or make mine. But either way, let's take a look.
That'll give me a real complex. Thanks a lot, Ben. I really appreciate that. Ben, speaking of things that give people a complex, have you been keeping abreast of the... Oh, that's not great choice of words.
Go back.
Have you been keeping track of the Ruby Rose Batwoman situation?
The Ruby Rose Batwoman situation? No, the last I had heard of the Ruby Rose Batwoman situation was that she was cast.
She was cast as Catwoman. She's going to be...
Catwoman.
Batwoman, sorry. I can't get Catwoman out of my head.
He's never going to get Catwoman out of his mind.
She's been cast as Batwoman, Ben, and then not promptly, but predictably harassed by the internet.
Oh, for God's sake. Inevitably harassed by the internet.
Yes.
Might be working it.
What's
wrong with Ruby Rose as a...
Are you asking me or are you asking the internet?
What's wrong with the... Well, I'm going to use you as a conduit for the internet. This is not Michael's opinion, but I need to have a conversation with the internet.
Okay.
So for that conversation, Michael, what's wrong?
Hello, my name is Michael, and today I'm going to be playing the internet.
Show us on the doll where the internet psychologically abused you.
She's not lesbian enough.
Sorry?
She's not lesbian enough.
Not lesbian enough.
She's a bisexualist,
How dare she?
and the Batwoman is a lesbian.
A lesboon.
Yeah. No. I don't know if you can say that. She's not lesbian enough and not Jewish enough.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, the Batwoman is quite Jewish, but Ruby Rose isn't. Now, Ben, I'm not playing the internet anymore. What amuses me here is that I always thought straight people could play gay characters.
But it's not
if
okay.
they wanted.
Yeah.
And gay people can pretend to be straight characters.
Which quite often
Tom
happens.
Cruise, for example. Gonna get sued.
That's a cease and desist order in the post. I think traditionally, yeah, I've never seen an issue with it. Matt Bomer, for example, quite a famous TV actor in the States, exceptionally gay. Plays very... Sorry, exceptionally gay is wrong.
I'm going to stop you there, Ben.
Yeah, that's fair.
What do you mean exceptionally gay?
Gay is just fine. Exceptional being the positive adjective that I use. Sorry, you stressed me out by calling me out my words. Now I'm clicking a pen. Played very popular with the ladies con man on White Collar.
Oh,
for many years.
And of course didn't oh god, I've forgotten his name. Very good guy who plays Leonard Snart on the Arrowverse shows. Who used to be in the Prison Break.
He was in the Prison Break,
yeah. And he's famously a homosexualist gentleman.
Michael
and Benjamin's podcast.
Quick plug. I can't remember his name. I can't remember his name.
Come back to it.
Anyway, he's there. He's a gay man who goes straight.
Yeah.
For the film.
Now here's the thing. Here's the thing, Ben. This is what here's my issue with the thing. I just don't think Ruby Rose is a very good actress.
Yeah, I think she gets, because she's quite controversial sometimes, isn't she? Or quite attitudey. Is it her attitude that gets her roles?
And her look.
Her look is very distinct.
Although not as distinct now, because she's being imitated. There was a Chinese Ruby Rose in Skyscraper, the Dwayne Johnson movie. And it was just, let's get a Chinese actress to play Ruby Rose.
Well, it's the badass female enforcer thing.
Yeah, that's what she does. She's the badass female enforcer in everything.
Yeah, and we have that in everything. She was the badass female bodyguard in John Wick 2.
John Wick 2. She was the badass female in one of the Resident Evils, the most recent one.
She was the badass female backup in XXX3.
She was the badass female backup in that space show where she was an android. I can't remember what it was called.
Androids in space who give backup to normal characters that need a badass woman.
Yeah,
it wasn't very catchy. That's why it didn't do so well.
Not catchy. Yeah. Look, I don't really care. I have not watched the CW's bar the crossovers in quite a while at this stage.
CW is terrible. It's a soap opera with a latex costume slapped on top.
Very rarely latex. Usually leather. The CW is very leathery.
It's a soap opera with a leather costume slapped on top.
Yeah.
I imagine. We edit out the first one where I made a mistake?
No, I'll leave that in Ben's retractions. Okay. Benjamin. So anyway, she left Twitter. She deleted her social media accounts.
What?
Yeah, she left Twitter.
How much abuse did she get?
Quite a bit, I imagine.
Substantial.
Yeah.
I bet I know where it came from.
Who?
Was it straight white men that objected?
According to her, no.
Oh.
It was the lesbian, gay, transsexual, intergender community.
So it's not enough to have character representation anymore. It now has to be played by a gay character.
Yeah.
She is being fully represented as a fully lesbian superhero.
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Well, I assume it. Well, that makes an interesting point. Is she being represented as a fully lesbian superhero on television, or is she being represented as a bisexual superhero? Because as far as I remember, Batman is an Australian, and Christian Bale played him.
Batman? Christian Bale's not Australian.
Is he not?
Christian Bale's Welsh.
Is he?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
100%
Hang on.
No, me. Christian Bale is 100% Welsh. He is as Welsh as toasted cheese.
No, I'm not having this. Look it up.
I'm not having this. I'm not looking it up.
Look it up.
Christian Bale.
Look it up.
Christian Bale is 100% Welsh.
Look it up.
Okay, look, let's talk about
Batman isn't Welsh either way. And yet, regarded as probably the best Batman that we've had.
By you. I don't know why I'm looking this up. He's Welsh. Talk about James Gunn while I... it's not really part of the long saga of James Gunn, unfortunately. Disney has confirmed they will not be rehiring him as director of Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So it's a bit of a moot ending, a damp squib, if you will, to the end of the James Gunn saga. He cannot come back. Christian Charles Philip Bale, born 30th of January 1974, Havertsford West, Pembrokeshire, Wales.
Fair enough. I've been proven wrong.
I know.
Why did I think he was Australian?
Don't ask me.
I've thought that for years.
No, he's definitely
Years.
Welsh.
In fact, I think I've told other people they're Australian and they believe me.
Oh.
So, massive apologies to Christian Bale. Massive apologies to Wales, Pembrokeshire, Wales.
Shall we give an apology to Australia?
He can be a bad egg. Sometimes he screamed at that lighting technician. So yeah, apologies for associating a screamy, ranty actor with your country, Australia.
Yeah, other than Russell Crowe.
Other than Russell Crowe, but I'm quite fond of Russell Crowe. I have a soft spot. You sure he's not from Wales? I thought Russell Crowe was from Wales. Oh my god!
Hold on, I need to get my Lighthouse. Why would I punch him? I don't even know him. Father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife.
That's pretty good.
It
was pretty good.
Gladiator, but
wasn't bad Wales. Wasn't a bad Wales. No.
Let's talk about James Gunn more.
He's not coming back. It has been kind of put to rest by Disney, as far as I'm concerned. They have agreed to work with him again, but he will not be rehired.
Ridiculous.
It's
ridiculous. The whole thing is a flustercluck.
Yeah, Dave Bautista has been hurling more tweets.
Good man, Dave.
Comparing Disney to Trump now, which is the new internet Hitler.
Yeah, that's true.
Back in the day, it would have been, Disney's worse than Hitler, but now it's like, Disney's as bad as Trump.
If anyone ever muckrakes you and finds out some dirt, you want Dave Bautista in your corner.
You do, because he's big and scary
He'll
too.
stick up for
you can't even physically intimidate Dave Bautista because he's quite a bit bigger than your average man. I was watching...
I reckon I'd take him out, to be honest with you.
Don't think so.
I've seen him.
I was watching Blade Runner 2049
No, hold on,
again
new podcast.
Who can Mick beat up?
First of all, he's nearly 50. Second of all, he's dreadful at MMA. And third of all, he's nearly 50. So anyway, carry on.
But he's also Dave Bautista.
Yeah, he's not that big. What's happened?
Don't know.
No, we're okay.
No, I think we're okay. I think we just had a little dip.
Yeah, we're alright.
I don't know.
Speaking of people, Ben, who I could definitely beat up.
Yeah.
Finn Jones is in Iron Fist season 2.
Ugh.
Tell us what you really think. Ugh. Oh, that's podcasting. That's exactly the sound people want in their ear holes.
Sorry about the ear hole abuse. But generally speaking, I just watched the trailer with you before this podcast.
We
Michael,
did, Ben.
as you know.
I do know, Ben. I was there.
Looks like we're going to be focusing heavily on the 2006 run of Immortal Iron Fist, which is a fantastic run. If you have to read Immortal Iron Fist, the Matt Fraction series, Brewbreaker series with covers by David Aja series is very, very good. But that is where Davos comes from.
I have been calling him Stavros.
Stavros,
the tiny ninja.
The evil Stavros.
He's very small, isn't he?
Which is against comic book type. In the comics, he's physically much bigger than Iron Fist. Iron Fist is kind of famous for his agility and his nimbleness.
Yeah.
And
his lithe.
Davros is kind of the
Stavros.
expected Stavros, if you're Michael, is kind of expected to become the Iron Fist.
Throwing plates at him
because he's stronger and more buff. But in a twist of events, it's only because Danny Rand who becomes the Iron Fist. Yeah. I don't know if I care very much for it. There's a lot of Power Ranger sparks that I could do without. He punches that truck and it goes all Power Rangers-y.
Oh, that's great. I like when he punches the truck. I think the fight choreography looks a bit better.
Thankfully.
There's a lot of people cynically looking at Danny when he says things, which I think is an audience surrogate from season 1.
Yeah.
Colleen looks at him. Also, we have the Daughters of the Dragon.
Ooh.
Which is Colleen and Misty Knight.
I don't know. I didn't like Colleen all that much in season 1.
Oh?
I didn't like the character arc. I thought it was a bit...
You just hate women?
Yeah. Sure. That's the way this podcast goes. Sure. I hate women. You heard it here, folks. It's the Michael and Misogynist podcast. Yeah, I'm just a big old lady-hating tosspot.
I had another thing to say, but you've made me laugh there, and I forgot what it was.
Yeah.
Daughters of the Dragon.
Misty Knight. I'm looking forward to seeing more Misty Knight. Big Misty Knight fan. Think she's a good character. Well written, strong. interestingly kind of driven, good motivations, blah blah blah.
And it helps that she's a very attractive lady.
It does help that she's a very attractive. Colleen is a very attractive lady. I'm not. This is not a racial thing. I just hate women. This is just a this is just a thing. I was assuming you were referencing a past thing in my life, but never mind.
Ben,
never
just
mind.
stop. Stop talking.
But anyway, yeah, it looks like they're going to try and fix Danny Rand.
Yeah.
There's a strong, badass lady enforcer by the looks of things.
Yeah, probably played by Ruby Rose.
Who does an L whooping of Danny to prove that he's not,
Isn't it interesting?
as good as he thinks.
Isn't it interesting that he says in the trailer, "I didn't ask for the Iron Fist," but he very definitely did.
He very definitely did, but we're changing that now.
He went and fought a dragon because he wanted to get the Iron Fist.
Yeah.
And now he's like, I didn't ask for the Iron Fist. He did ask for it.
You went, you were like, how do I get the Iron Fist? Someone was like, you kill a dragon. He's like, all right, I'll go find a dragon. He went and found a dragon. Now he's got the Iron Fist.
Oh, I
mean, he didn't directly say, please give me the Iron Fist. But, through his actions, Michael, and as we all know, actions speak louder than words. Louder than words is not a phrase, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
But the more you know. That's the podcast for this week. Go think about that, guys. And don't forget to tip your waiters.
Yeah. Benjamin.
Yes.
Speaking of wrapping things up, as you just so succinctly done, this week, or over the last couple of weeks,
yes.
I have been watching a TV show that had slipped past me.
Oh. And
it was a TV show then called The Leftovers. What do you know about it?
The Leftovers is based on a novel from 2008?
Something like that, I'd say. Yeah.
It's only a bloody rapture narrative, Michael, where the Lord comes along, wipes the planet clean, the does are good and wholesome, and what's left behind? The old sinners.
Well, that's interesting that you've said that, because that is very much not what the television program is about.
Okay.
In the television program, Ben, it's by Damon Lindelof.
David Lindelof, who is currently adapting Watchmen for HBO.
Yeah. Now, when I heard Damon Lindelof was adapting Watchmen for HBO, I said, "Oh no!
Oh no!
Do you remember Lost?"
Yes.
But then I watched The Leftovers, and I thought, "Oh."
Can I just go back there for a second?
Go on.
Can you set me up with that bit again where you say, "Do you remember Lost?"
Oh yeah. Oh no! Do you remember Lost?
No.
Oh.
It was badly written and very forgettable.
Okay.
Anyway, we can go back now.
Disagree there, but okay, we'll get back to that in a minute. Leftovers, it's very good. It's not really about the rapture. Interesting Leftovers fact, Ben. I'm segueing my own segue self. Do you know who is the lead lady in the Leftovers?
I think you know I don't.
Her name is Carrie Coon, and she played Proxima Midnight in Avengers Infinity War.
Ah, an excellent little henchman character.
Yes, and
strong lady badass henchman.
Here's the thing, right? When I heard the voice in Infinity Wars, I thought that voice is so heavily flanged. Exactly, that it might as well be no one. But now that I've watched 3 seasons of The Leftovers, it is distinctly Carrie Coon, if you're familiar with her work.
Okay.
That's a bit irrelevant there, but there you go.
Weird segue to your segue.
Great casting, though.
Is it?
Yeah, it's when you've got that appreciation for
Carrie Coon.
Yeah, it's very good. She looks like Anna Torv.
Gotta help
She's
me
from
out.
Fringe. And Mindhunter!
Nope.
Mindhunter about the FBI?
I know what it is. I just haven't watched it.
I'm
not much of a TV guy. You know I'm not much of a
TV
TV guy. I don't get around to it.
Anyway, it's not about the rapture.
Oh.
Because in the TV... No. Look, it's a fair mistake. In the TV show, Benjamin, 2% of the world's population just disappear.
2%?
2%.
It's not that much.
Well, it's bloody sufficient.
Yeah,
That's
do a bit of
1
damage.
in 50.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Everyone in the world loses someone when 2% of the people disappear. But the world doesn't stop. That's the key to it.
That's the key to it. The world keeps going.
And the whole show, Ben, is about people dealing with that.
Is it good?
It's excellent.
Excellent. So
it might be my favourite ever TV show.
Oh! That's high praise.
It's really good. But, and here's the joy of it, it is not about what happened.
It's about what's happening now.
Exactly. It's about the aftermath of what happened. In fact, the theme tune...
For the podcast.
We don't actually have any theme music. The theme tune for season 2 is a country music song called Let the Mystery Be. Because it's they're flat out telling you in the title. We
don't need to know.
We're not going to tell you what happened. It's not about that.
We don't need to know.
But, Ben,
yes,
the reason I started watching The Leftovers is I heard on another podcast that it had a very satisfying ending. And you enjoy a satisfying ending.
I
I've
do.
heard.
I love.
So,
That was a hand job joke.
yeah, it was. What was I saying? Yes, you enjoy. Stop looking sad. You enjoy a satisfying ending, Ben, and it gave me a good deal of confidence, having heard that it had a satisfying ending, to sit down and watch it, knowing this isn't going to get fucked up somewhere along the way.
Which is often the case.
Right? Exactly. So I'm not going to tell you the ending, Ben,
Okay.
because I don't want to spoil it, because it's well worth watching.
I'm definitely just going to do a YouTube summary video.
No, don't do a YouTube summary
I'm
video.
sure it's gonna happen,
No, because
Michael.
Ben, this is the whole point. It's not about the plot. It's a drama about people's lives and relationships and whatnot. There's no satisfying I'm spoiling a little bit here, but there isn't a satisfying conclusion to the mystery. Because, Ben, let the mystery be. That's the whole...
Country song at the start
Yeah.
of The Leftovers.
Yeah, that's the whole mystery. That's the whole mission of the show is, look, lads, we're not going to tell you what happened. Just watch it and enjoy it.
And you enjoy that subversion of conventional narrative.
Well, Ben, this week we're going to talk about endings, aren't we?
Well, I suppose, yes, you did text me yesterday to talk about it.
Wow, you're really derailing this. Is this how I usually feels for you? When,
Yeah, it's
wow.
exactly
This
how
is
it feels. I am reveling in the fact that I can finally just sit there and be like, and tear back the veil of podcasting mystique that Michael has worked so carefully to craft.
This is excruciating.
It is. It's quite painful, isn't it?
So, Ben, we're going to talk this week about good and bad endings.
Yes.
Give us an example there. Ben, another thing that ended recently
Yes.
was the comic book Invincible.
Yes.
Tell us about that ending.
I haven't read the ending of Invincible.
Very good.
But I will say that it started as one of the strongest comics in terms of how it subverted conventional narrative and turned the hero's papa into a real bad egg.
It did. We did a whole episode about that, if you remember.
Yes, we did. We had a very conventional hero's journey in the beginning, learning the ropes. It's just Mark Grayson learning the ropes to montage music. Trials of a Teenager, etc., blah, blah, blah. And then, it only goes and has a bloody twist where Papa Bear is just a real douche.
Right, but all of that happens in the first 6 issues, Ben. And then it goes on for 144 more issues. Well, 144 issues in total. And one of the great things, what I was thinking about when we were talking about let's talk about good endings,
Yes.
is when you really want something that was scheduled to be ongoing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So we're not talking about like a movie which has a good or a bad ending.
Yeah.
Because movies are hopefully self-contained stories with
Hopefully.
a beginning, middle, hopefully. Not always. Bloody The Matrix Part 2.
Jesus Christ.
Bloody Infinity's War.
Oh, God.
Um,
I quite enjoyed Infinity War, though.
so did I. And it had a very good ending. But that's not what we're talking
But
about.
that's not what we're talking about.
We're talking about things that were conceived or scheduled or hoped to be ongoing.
For a while.
Which probably when they were conceived didn't have an ending planned.
Yes.
And then how they wrap up.
But sales figures have demanded that they come to a close.
For example, or network pressure, or creator decision.
Yeah,
say,
sure.
let's
To
bloody wrap this up.
just to spice some stuff up. I have no passion left in my pen for this.
So very good. So what I'm talking about, Ben, is you didn't see Lost, did you?
No.
Lost is a spectacularly good television program.
In the beginning?
In the beginning. Up until about midway through season 3.
A midway point, if you will.
Right. And why it's spectacularly good is it invented this mystery box concept, this Damon Lindelof, J.J. Abrams, mystery after mystery after mystery after mysterious thing after mysterious thing after mysterious thing. And we knew there weren't going to be answers, Ben.
That 5-second podcast pause was just pure gold.
That was gold, wasn't it? I was thinking about what to say, but we knew there weren't going to be answers. That was the issue. There was going to be no answers. And when people started cottoning on to the fact that this didn't appear to have a planned ending, the internet, because the internet existed back then,
It did.
got crazy with speculation. Did you see the ending for Lost?
No.
So, in the end of Lost, one of the characters detonates a bomb
Excellent.
at the end of season 5.
Yes.
And then
Season 5?
yeah.
Did it go all the way up to season 5?
No, it went to 6. And then in the truncated season 6, they replace the previous narrative of flashbacks from before the island with flash sideways. And it seems to be like an alternate timeline where the plane didn't crash on the island and how everyone's lives were lived out.
Very good.
But gradually that starts not making sense because they start recognizing each other and they start having coincidences where they meet each other and stuff. And in the end,
yes,
it turns out that it's purgatory. They were in not the whole time. Seasons 1 to 5 happened, and everything that happened on the island was real.
Yeah.
And terribly poorly explained, and it didn't really make sense.
There was a polar bear.
Yeah, why? Terrible reason why there wasn't experiments on the island. It was boring. But the reason that people hated the ending was people thought the whole thing was set on purgatory almost from episode 1.
Yeah.
And the creators themselves in the show and online kind of always denied this is not purgatory, they're not dead, this is all really happening.
Yes.
But then apparently it all did really happen, but in the last season they were dead.
Because somebody set off a bomb in season 5.
Not everyone died at the same time.
Oh, this was late, like over years?
Over years. So when they died, they went to this collective purgatory together.
Why? Because they were on the island together? They deserve purgatory together?
But then the final episode ends with them going on to whatever the next life is.
Oh, fuck that.
Right?
Jesus.
And it's a real obvious first effort at what the Leftovers became. Leftovers is... It's like Lost refined into its good parts.
There are 2 reasons I don't watch a lot of TV, Michael.
Go on, Benjamin.
Number 1 is I'm a lazy bastard and don't really commit my time to stuff
Ben,
like
a
that.
lot of lazy people do watch TV.
Well, it's unfortunate for me that I'm the one that doesn't and has to do a pop culture podcast with you. But the second reason is shit like that. These fucking Force endings. Mind you, having heard you explain rather well
Thanks, Ben.
the final season of Lost and the I suppose the major flaw in that twist, it sounds very like Once Upon a Time.
Go on.
The television series, which features and centers around various fairy tale characters, all kind of existing in the one universe.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest star in that is Mr. Robert Carlyle, who plays Rumpelstiltskin.
Yes.
Did
Did you know that O'Connell Bridge in Dublin City Centre used to be called Carlisle Bridge?
it?
And any time I want to remember that, I imagine Robert Carlyle running across it.
Yeah, as Begbie from Trainspotting.
No, as his character from 28 Days Later.
Oh, excellent.
No, 28 months later? 28 weeks?
28
The
weeks
sequel.
later.
Yeah,
weeks
the
later.
sequel.
As he slowly looks at his wife being devoured by
zombies
aggressive
on a
zombie
boat.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that opening scene. One of my favourites of all time. And I love, well, I don't love it, but I just know what a dick he is. It's just brilliant. It's just like,
wife's getting
Rob.
eaten, I better run.
And the kid. But it's such a spiteful thing. It's just kind of a thing of like, you want to keep the kid.
Yeah.
You get the consequences.
You hang on to him.
I'm going to do a runner.
I'll head off here
And
across
I love
O'Connell
that your
Bridge.
man falls into the water. He chucks him into the water off the boat. It's just like, what are you doing, Rob? Anyway, in this, he plays a very over-the-top kind of villain called Rumpelstiltskin.
What's his real world name? Mr. Gold?
Mr. Gold or something like that. So yeah, the interesting thing that happens there is that it takes place in that fairy tale world for most of the first, I think it's a 6-season series again. For most of the first 5 seasons, and then you have a soft reboot.
Yeah.
Very similar to Lost from what you've been describing. And they find themselves all in the same town with kind of an approximation of their original magical powers.
Yeah.
But they're without the makeup now. For me, it reeked of a budget cut.
Yeah. Well, I think what that was they wrapped the series up.
Yeah,
And then
they
got another season.
They brought it back. Yeah, it was one of those things. But it was very much a tying up loose ends kind of season. But it was very much a purgatory kind of thing as well. They were all trapped in this town until they figured out their unfinished business or something like that.
Well, that's one of the ways a show can end badly.
yes,
A kind of false ending.
yeah.
Where
but
they plan their ending and then, oh, no, it's not over.
it's like when you finish the marathon and then trip as you cross the finish line. It's just like, guys,
It's like
you
when
were
you
so close.
It's like when you finish the marathon and then they say, surprise, there's another 3 kilometers.
Yeah, that's happened several times when I was doing marathons.
Yeah.
Don't do
but that kind of false ending has happened multiple times on TV. It happened with Buffy.
Did it?
Yeah, they thought they were getting cancelled after season 5. So season 5 is a pretty conclusive ending to Buffy, and then it comes back. It happened recently with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. clearly wrapped up after season 5, but now they're bringing it back for a truncated season 6.
Yeah.
Possibly without Agent Coulson, without Clark Gregg.
Why?
Exactly. It happened many times in TV shows.
I think one of my least favourite things...
Bloody Supernatural.
Oh, man.
How
that
many
thing
times?
has just kept going. What are we on now? Season 12 of Supernatural?
But I mean, Supernatural season 3...
By the way, Michael, just a quick segue.
This is about
Do I
Comic Con.
really look that much like fucking Dean from Supernatural? I've had so many people come up to me. It was because I was wearing a fur-lined Borg collar.
You know what we're doing?
Fair enough.
You know what we're doing for the next Comic Con?
Fucking Dean from Supernatural.
You're going in a leather jacket with a knife as Dean from Supernatural, but we're going to get a life-size printout of Sam Winchester
and just carry it around.
Carry you around with you,
Oh,
or maybe mount him so he's standing behind you on your back.
I quite like that.
Yeah,
I quite like that.
That's
I would happily do that. But anyway, sorry, you were saying about season 3.
Season 3 or 4, I can't remember, but the one where they defeat the Satan. Where they win. They do the thing.
Yeah.
Is it the end of season 3? It might be the end of season 4.
I think it's the end of season 4. They defeat the apocalypse. They stop the apocalypse.
Stop making it.
That's the end of the show. Yeah. I was just about to get onto that point, and it's interesting because you gave me a perfect jumping off point. I hate when you have the biggest threat to humanity in a series. They beat it, and they bring the series back. It's like all of a sudden, it's like, oh, but there is an ancient, Assyrian text that talks about another demon that came for, and you're just like, no. We covered this. The big event was the apocalypse. We did this. And then the other thing I hate then, all the characters become slowly depowered or less effective because the new threat has to be something even more. For example, in Supernatural, great example, Mike.
Thanks, Ben.
Really glad you brought that in.
Thanks, Ben.
Angels and demons.
Yeah.
There is no mention of demons until the end of season 1. And they become... They're not a big thing. Demons are like the big bad thing that we're not sure how to beat.
Right.
They're a rare event when they escape from hell. And they're super powerful. Like, it's very difficult. They have telekinesis. They can move things around.
They kill that man on the airplane.
Yeah, they can possess whomever they choose. Whomsoever should they choose.
Yes.
And then, all of a sudden, the lads get a super weapon. And I'm okay with a super weapon. I'm okay with a MacGuffin. It's the Colt, okay? And all of a sudden, but they only have 6 shots.
Bullets, only 6 shots.
So they can only kill 6 demons outright, and they have to save one for Yellow Eyes and do that whole thing.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
You have a big bad that all
tense.
hunters can't take out.
Don't miss.
It's a big threat. We get to the end of season 1. Demons suddenly become the go-to. The go-to villain. Because it's just a person in a costume with black eyes. Great for
nice
the budget.
and cheap, yeah.
Great for the budget. And suddenly they're everywhere. And then suddenly Sam and Dean are just killing machines. And this has gotten worse over the thing. Now demons are a bit of a joke in the series. And you've got bigger creatures that are threatening, blah, blah, blah.
Leviathans.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh, God, that was a terrible season. But anyway. Then we had the next big bad.
Yeah.
And that was the angels.
Yeah.
And angels showed their strength by the fact that they could just touch a demon and they would be completely...
That's
Not
the
only
word.
would they be
back
exercised,
to
but
hell.
everything died.
Yeah.
They died. It's like they ceased to exist. And that was amazing. And then angels became this big thing that you couldn't take out. And then all of a sudden, Sam and Dean figured out how to do that. And then they became the next kind of cannon fodder for every single episode. Very inconsistent power scales, Michael.
Yeah.
I think it makes for terrible television
Right.
because every time you have a superpowered character, all of a sudden it just becomes, well, we know how to do that now. Let's take care of business.
I've enjoyed your rant there, but it had nothing to do with wrapping endings.
Well, no, I think it had nothing to do with wrapping up well or poorly, but I think it's one of the signs of decline of a show, which lead from a show being very good. My favourite season of Supernatural, and the thing that got me into the show, was season 1. Yeah. Because what it was it was 2 lads going around America exploring various urban myths and folklore and thing. Killing a thing, very specific thing.
A Wendigo.
Yeah, which never came back.
I might have.
They only ever mentioned them after that. They only ever mentioned them as a possible threat because the costuming for the Wendigo was very, very good.
I don't like how I pronounce it.
A lot. It's very stupid. It's a Wendigo. But the costuming for that creature was very, very good. You kind of saw it in flashes, and it was quite a horrific kind of
thingy.
Mass of human flesh and blah, blah, blah. And then likewise you had shifters, which... Sorry, this is again...
Can we talk about how things end,
Yeah,
Ben?
sorry,
Or are
go
you
on,
just
go
going to go on
I'll
about
stop.
why you love
I'll
Supernatural?
stop. Go on. I love Supernatural season 1. Be very careful how you say that.
But
Go on.
anyway,
Go on.
that 10-minute diversion was brought to you by shows that had a false ending, basically. That
Thanks.
had a planned ending and then got renewed or stayed popular and...
And went tits up.
Not necessarily. I mean, it's still a fine show. It's not amazing, but it's just... It has a very unsatisfying ending.
It saved itself after season 11 with the Leviathans, I think. Season 10?
I don't know. I stopped watching.
Yeah.
Here's another type of bad ending, though. So if there's the false ending,
Yes.
where you plan an ending and then it comes back.
Yes.
There's the kind of polar opposite of that, which is the cancellation,
Mm.
the unresolved cliffhanger.
Good old-fashioned snap of the neck.
Exactly, and nothing worse than an unresolved cliffhanger that is unresolved.
Real good with words there, Chief.
Oh, this is yeah. I do this. I'm
Podcast
good
gold.
at this.
Do you want to go back?
No. So what I'm saying is, I have two examples here for you, Ben. Do you remember 1997, 1999's
That's not how the song goes.
Mortal Kombat Conquest? Do you?
Do you remember?
All right, go on.
No, I'm done. Go on, Mortal Kombat Conquest.
Do you remember it?
No.
So it was a TV show from the 90s.
a TV show?
It was a TV show from the 90s. And it was about Mortal Kombat at the height of Mortal Kombat's popularity. But it was a prequel. And it was set in the past.
Okay.
In a weirdly non-specific location that had a Chinese name, but there were lots of Western people hanging about.
Classic.
Anyway, it was about three characters fighting to save Earth from Outworld. With the help of the god Raiden, which was misspelled for some reason. And season 1 ended with all three main characters being killed, and Raiden being defeated by Shao Kahn, the leader of Outworld.
Finish him.
And imprisoned, and then wasn't renewed. Yeah, one of the most depressing endings for a thing ever.
Finish him by putting him in a cell for 70 years. Long-term fatality.
That's weird.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's the unresolved cliffhanger.
I hate
any others?
cliffhangers. I'm trying to think of something that you never... There's a lot of shitty shows that get the unresolved cliffhanger. And when I was a teenager, I used to love certain awful shows.
Right, go on.
And a lot of them would just get cancelled because I had no taste. But I'm trying to think of... I think one of the good examples of that would be Smallville.
Right.
From the CW. Because that wasn't supposed to last as long as it did. We got into this phase of looking at... I think that's a great example of something that started strong and ended poorly. I don't know if it was the unresolved cliffhanger, but it was more unfulfilled potential, I guess, in that regard. The first couple of seasons of Smallville are actually quite good. It's like a...
Disagree.
Okay, fair enough.
But go on.
You know, it's again, it's the classic CW formula. It's just a soap opera with some powers thrown in. It was kind of the run for the whole CW universe.
Yeah, it's the prototype of the Arrowverse.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a big tone change in the middle of that. And the big tone change comes when he moves to Metropolis. Because they had to advance the series. They couldn't leave him... Because Tom Welling was getting older and older, obviously. Who was actually, legitimately, in terms of aesthetic, great Clark Kent, great Superman. He had a pretty solid look for that whole thing. Don't think he was a great actor. But anyway...
I met Dean Cain the other day.
Oh.
Surprisingly handsome.
I wouldn't be shocked. He did play Superman on a television series with Terry Hatcher.
A little bit leathery.
Well, that happens when you spend all your life in LA, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You get a little bit leathery around the edges. Anyway, hi Dean. But what happened in that particular case was we constantly teased, you know, more powers coming in. The golden rule of that show was he doesn't fly. No cape, no flying.
Yeah.
So he could jump really, really high, and as we went, we kept trying to push that. Where that became very irritating is, for some reason, they decided to go to Metropolis, but they still wouldn't advance his powers past the no-fly rule. So what you got was he became the Blur.
Yeah, I remember.
Anyway, he moves to Metropolis and he becomes the Blur. And he doesn't wear the classic Superman costume. His costume that he wears is a red leather jacket, a blue skin-tight t-shirt.
Superman colours.
And Superman colours. So the Blur are Superman colours. This was so frustrating for me who watched the whole show. Because it's just... oh no, but he can't fly because that makes things too easy, and we don't have the budget for that.
Yeah. It also wasn't a Superman show.
But they did everything
They
but
nearly
make
did
it
a
a
Superman
Superman.
show. I know, but
That's
it
the
wasn't.
point. Everybody else had their full powers. You had Deadshot in it.
Yeah.
You had
Green
various
Arrow,
villains.
the
You had
Flash.
Green Arrow in full costume. You had Aquaman
Yeah.
in full costume. Cyborg made an appearance in a weird silver pleather thing. Like
Yeah.
it was insane. They all.
Talk about the ending, Ben.
But the ending, anyway, the ending was completely moot. We never
Right,
got the payoff. The bloody ending was a final season where on the last panel he jumps up into the sky, but you still don't see him fucking fly.
Exactly.
You just see him up. For me, a very frustrating experience where Superman was never that great, and they did that thing where they wanted to expand the world, but the budget was still really tight. So Doomsday was actually kind of
Just a bloke.
a Hulk substitute, and it was a bloke who got angry sometimes and could take out Superman.
Here's the thing, though, about that. That wasn't a Superman show. Imagine if that was The Leftovers.
Okay.
And the whole time the theme music said, Ben, he's not going to fly. He's not going to turn into Superman. Get over it.
That would have been fine.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why The Leftovers is such a good wrap-up.
But at the end of every season of Smallville, you had a hint that he was about to fly. That was the problem. And that's what comes back to your shitty cliffhanger theory.
There are plenty of hints.
Not that the theory itself is shitty. The shitty cliffhanger
There are
is
plenty
the
of
noun.
hints in The Leftovers that they're going to tell us what happened. But
I think
every
The
week...
Leftovers is just a better show, Michael.
Oh, it's a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
But every week, still, they tell you, we're not going to tell you what this is in the
Fuckers.
theme music. It was brilliant. Ben, good ending. Do you remember Gravity Falls?
Yes, fantastic ending.
Fantastic ending. Very good. Ben, do you know what Gravity Falls is called in our house? That is podcasting gold.
No, come on.
Very low.
What's it
listening.
called in your house?
It's called Mabel.
Aww.
Not the Mabel show or
Mabel.
the show with Mabel. It's
Is
just
this your
called,
good lady friend who just goes, can we watch Mabel?
Yeah, let's watch Mabel.
She's
I want to watch
amazing.
Mabel. Mabel, yeah, very
Great
good.
show. Probably one of the better cartoons that I've ever seen. And I've seen quite a few.
2 seasons, was it?
I think they went for a third. I think we got
Was
a
it
third
3?
wrap up.
But again, wrapped up.
Oh no, it's with a beautiful bow on top.
Yeah.
Like you had your apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, spoilers.
Weird apocalypse.
Weird apocalypse.
Weird Mageddon.
Weird Mageddon, I think, was what it was called.
Yeah.
You had the Grunkle Stan mystery.
Yeah.
That all got like it was great payoff.
Yes.
We weren't consistently teased. Like
Yeah.
season 2 was, you had your payoff in season 1. You finally saw what was behind the curtain. You finally
Yeah.
saw that Grunkle Stan was massive spoilers, by the way.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, spoilers for this.
You finally saw that he knew more than he was letting on, and it was a whole thing. And then I was really afraid that it was going to get really twisty, loopy, all over the place.
No, it doesn't.
But it was so well done.
Here's the thing. It goes back to what we were saying there about when you end a show and then have to keep constantly upping the ante. It would be very hard to do another season of that. Following on from Weird
It
Mageddon.
was so tightly written.
But, I mean, they've dealt with the threat, as you said.
And he was like a dimension-destroying threat.
Yeah.
Bloody Cypher. Cypher Bill?
Bill Cipher.
Bill Cypher. Damn it.
You've dealt with that threat. They left a little hint that he could come back, possibly.
Hopefully.
But, yeah.
I'd love to see Bill round 3.
A really... You see, I wouldn't.
What I loved about... Again, this is a complete spin-off from what it was. What I loved about Bill Cipher was he was so mischievous in the beginning, and he kind of grew in malice, and you really felt that malice grow as he went along. Like, it went from, casual antics with like, oh, I'm helping the kid out because I like mischief, and then all of a sudden it was like, no, I'm actually trying to open a portal into your world so me and all my friends can come and destroy it. And it's like,
He was a great character. Bill was a great
character.
Antagonist. We work with a person who hates the word mischievous.
Do we?
Yeah.
Why?
I'll tell you who it is later.
What's the reason?
He thinks he should be mischievous.
Doesn't
Doesn't matter. That's not podcast gold.
It's a pronunciation
Here's
issue.
the thing, Ben. What I'm talking about wrapping things up well is what I'm saying about things being wrapped up well is that when it finishes, you brush your hands together and you go, lovely.
Beautiful.
That's that done.
Well, it's an Edgar Allan Poe thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
go on.
Did you ever read the 7 rules for short story writing that Edgar Allan Poe kind of posited?
Ben, I think you know that I didn't.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, you know. It's as a general rule, the short story, I suppose, can be looked at as kind of the prototype for all short fiction that you consume
Right.
today. So a television series is just a series of short stories.
But we're
If it's-
talking about long form here.
I don't think we are necessarily.
very
A
much we
2-season
are.
perfectly tight written
Okay.
thing is, but a good episode should be not necessarily self-contained, but it should have the narrative elements contained within, so that you're not waiting for it tells a good story in one episode, and your subplot is what ties everything.
But this is exactly the
Together.
problem with Lost. Lost's individual episodes are great.
Oh, okay.
It's the overall wrap-up of the whole thing
That burns you out.
That burns you out.
Well, I think generally when something lives past its sell-by date, you could probably look at it in that.
If you talk about Supernatural one more time, I'm going to stab you with this pencil.
I was actually going to talk about the show Paranormal Hunters.
Oh, go on, okay.
No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it breaks one of the fundamental rules that Edgar Allan Poe laid out, which is called the unity of experience. The unity of experience is, if you're going to tell a story,
Yep.
especially in short form, if you don't have the benefit of a novel, you can't tie all it together. So the reader or the consumer of that particular media has to get a fully contained package for it to be satisfying.
Right.
So I think, obviously, it's not the same thing.
No, but go
but
on.
I think a really
Go on.
good series follows that rule, in that when you sit down and when you finish that content, it's all finished in one unified experience. You get that satisfaction that comes with...
Right. I'm with you. I like what you've explained there.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is that's the real difficulty here. Because most of the things that we're talking about were not written like that. They were written to be ongoing.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because things have to be ongoing to be commercial these days. If you pitch a 3-episode series, the network will say, "Well, I mean, if you pitch a 3-series show,
Yeah.
the network will say, we don't want a 3-series show. We
We
want
want
an
an
ongoing
8
show that's
series,
going to make
22 episode a season
exactly
monster.
So to take something that's conceived as ongoing and to wrap it up into a title bow that leaves the people watching going, lovely jubbly, that's that done. I am satisfied with that. I don't want any more The Leftovers. I don't want any more Gravity Falls. I don't want any more Invincible. I don't want any more... That's all I can think of at the moment.
Well, I mean, there's such great examples of things that go the opposite way to that, like The Walking Dead.
Here's the thing. Walking
Television
Dead,
series.
Robert Kirkman,
Kirkman.
very specifically, when he set out to write The Walking Dead, said it won't have an ending.
Oh.
It's not going to end. It's an ongoing.
I was talking more about the TV show.
But the TV show is
Which
just
is
an
overstated.
adaptation.
But it's overstated to welcome somewhat, no?
I don't watch it anymore, but I think like the graphic novels it's based on, it is designed to be an ongoing
To keep
thing.
on rolling.
You could keep going with The Walking Dead for 50 years if people keep watching it. Kill Rick, bring in a new character, make them become popular, kill off Rick, let that new character be the main character for 10 years. Kill off that person, let another person be the main character for 10 years.
It's interesting because we're right on the cusp of quite a big pop culture event in terms of Adventure Time. Adventure Time is airing its finale later this week to the entire series.
Oh.
And people are, I would say, cautiously optimistic that it's going to be wrapped up very well. But I think Adventure Time went on much longer than necessary. It's an example of something, but that was originally posited as a 1-season love affair.
Oh, was it?
At one point, it was supposed to be a series of short vignettes that Pendleton Ward put together, and he would include hints, and then he got recommissioned to go again and again. He didn't think he'd be very successful. He thought it was too weird to keep going, and then obviously the fan base just exploded around that particular thing. And he was kind of forced to expand the universe more and more. Now, luckily, he always had a broad strokes version of that in his mind. But he had to keep expanding it because it was so successful.
Is it a narrative?
Non-linear in certain fashions.
Okay,
Yeah,
because
sure.
that's the type of thing, like The Simpsons.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Simpsons literally can't be wrapped up.
Yeah, I know, but it should be.
No, it shouldn't be wrapped
No,
up.
I
It
know.
should just be cancelled.
Yeah, it should be done.
It should be cancelled and blasted with piss. One last thing before we go. Mass Effect.
You are a Mass Effect fan.
Ben, I enjoy a Mass Effect.
You do. You love Mass Effect.
Mass Effect 1,
Yes.
you are Commander Shepard,
Yes.
and you're defending the universe from Reapers.
Indeed.
And your actions have an effect on the outcome of the game.
I see.
So you can have the Galactic Council live or die.
Ooh.
and you can take over or not, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can get the aliens to help or not to help, and then that affects the amount of damage the alien does when he finally attacks and whatnot.
Nice.
Right. So the problem with that kind of user-defined ending is it's hard to do a sequel.
Yeah, because it's not necessarily a canon ending.
Right, but it has to be, because the sequel carries on directly from
one of the choices.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then the sequel has to treat its opening quite generically.
Because it can.
Because it can't
Yeah.
strongly follow any of those. So although you think it's going to be a hugely important thing that you do when you decide if the council lives or dies, as it turns out, it doesn't really matter. Because you don't really hear much from either the new council or the old council after that fact.
So it's like Infamous.
I've never played it.
Infamous is the same principle. You make a ton of decisions in season 1, and then you're automatically back as a hero in it decides whether you become a supervillain or a superhero or not in season 1, in the first game. And then the second game you automatically reboot to hero. So your previous actions didn't matter.
Mass Effect 2
Sorry.
is the best example of this.
Go on.
Because in Mass Effect 2, you have a little tight squad. I think it's about 12. And over 60 hours of gameplay, you build relationships with them, and then you go on a suicide mission together. And how you played influenced who lives or dies in the final mission.
Okay.
Or if you're successful or not. If you're not successful, the game just ends. So there's no ending where you lose. But you can complete the game and only Commander Shepard basically survives.
Yeah.
And all the other characters get wiped out.
Nice.
And that works much better because it's a small personal thing. It doesn't have galactic consequences that you have to deal with in the next one. So in Mass Effect 3, you're trying to gather the universe together to fight the impending threat. And you spend 60 plus hours making friends with all the races. A race that you killed off or saved in game 1 may or may not come back to help. The long-running war between the Geth and the Quarians, if you've picked a side, they join you.
Okay.
And if you've done the hardest route and got the peace treaty, they both join you. And if you saved the Krogan homeworld, they send a fleet to help you. And in the end, if you gather all of the fleets, it makes no difference whatsoever, because you're given 3 possible endings. And
you saw that very well, Mike.
The fucking the backlash. The backlash to this ending. Are you familiar with it?
I'm not actually, no.
The backlash was unbelievable.
Really?
And it could never have been anything else. Because, well, I suppose it could have, but it just would have been so hard to
bring all that together.
Like these aliens, they're called the Rachnos.
Yeah.
And they're kind of a pest, a sentient pest.
Yeah, sure.
And they ravage the galaxy in the past. And in game 1, you find the last Rachnos queen.
Okay.
And you decide whether to kill her or save her.
Oh.
And if you save her, the Rachnos will help in game 3. But the only thing that it says is, you get a text box saying, the Rachnos have sent a fleet to help. That's your payoff. And this one, it's not a bad cliffhanger. It's not a false ending. It's an the ending.
Ambitious.
It's over ambition. They were hoist by their own petard. They couldn't have wrapped it up satisfactorily.
For example, in Armageddon and Supernatural. I mentioned it one more time.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, Ben has been stabbed. Ben has been stabbed with a pencil. So, Benjamin, ask the listeners what endings they like and don't like.
I think you've already done that for me, Michael.
No, you
but this was ladies and gentlemen, down below, please let us know if you had anything that broke your heart with its ending. For one of the 3 categories above,
what were the categories again?
Was it an over-ambitious ending,
yeah,
that we just posited? Was it cliffhanger? Was it an unresolved cliffhanger?
Oh, bloody. The original, what's it called? Sorry for hitting you. Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks, the original Twin Peaks.
The original Twin Peaks.
Big old cliffhanger. Or an Archer. Archer now does the Dreamworld episode. The cliffhanger is Archer dead? Is he not?
That's been going on for 2 years.
Dealio. It's going on for another season. Last season was pretty poor. But anyway, and then the other category that we had, can't remember.
False ending.
False
Where it
endings,
keeps
where
coming
we
back.
just extend the bloody thing into a new season. A purgatory, if you will. Which one do you hate the most? Why do you hate it the most? And do you have any great examples for us down below?
Then ask people about good things, because we're not only negative.
When you whisper to me across the microphone, Michael, just do a whisper voice.
Oh, sorry.
If you have anything that defied all these expectations, your own Gravity Falls, if you will.
Or
please
Invincible.
Let us know. Or an Invincible.
Or
an
Leftovers.
Or a Leftovers.
What else
Please let
ended
us
well?
know. We'd prefer any kind of, I think, Image tends to do great miniseries in terms of things that...
That's a mini-series, Ben. They have endings.
Oh, okay. So we're talking about, undefined, open-ended series.
That then end.
That then end quite well. Can't think of anything right now.
Because lots of movies, Ben, lots of movies have good endings.
Yeah,
that's not
but
what
they're
we're talking
self-contained
about.
universes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's not what we're talking about. Did
about.
Sandman end well?
The original run of Sandman ended well, but we
Yeah.
keep going back to the sandbox.
Oh, very good.
Yeah,
The
gotcha.
Sandbox. They
Yeah,
should have
yeah.
called the Sandman universe the Sandbox.
I mean, saga?
It's not over.
But will it be?
Lock and Key.
Lock and Key had a very good ending.
It had a fine ending.
Fine.
Yeah, if I remember, we talked about it before, and
Yeah.
we were disappointed with the lack of comeuppance for the main characters.
There was a lack of retribution.
They got away scot-free, but still, it wrapped up well.
Yeah.
Lock and Key was a good example.
I'm trying to think. I'm looking here at your collection, Michael.
Transformers More Than Meets the Eye, aka Transformers Lost Light, will be wrapping up soon.
Transformers.
So that's another kind of major pop culture thing that's wrapping up soon.
Step on my impression, whatever. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, we are on SoundCloud, and we are on YouTube. If you like the stuff that we do, you can leave us a review also on iTunes. Good whispering, Michael. Very proud that you took my advice. So give us an L review on iTunes. Please make it positive. I'm very sensitive. And if you have any questions, queries, suggestions for topics, let us know down below. Bye.
Bye!